the mist this evening because about 2 days ago I think we had Dominic on his own and all his friends joined in and they've been wonderfully entertaining us. A little short introduction to this whole story. Obviously the story is about Ambrose, but how I got involved is in Shigila. There's a place where a lot of artists hang out, and my friend sister Carmel has been coming down there for a number of years with the summer school, and it has been a friendship that has been forged through painting and art appreciation. And in that beautiful place she has written many poems, and I think just to finish the introduction I will sing one little verse of a local song, and it tells you about a poet and her association with the landscape and how it helped her in her creativity. Sean Glannon came in Ivlera Shavim Shah Marian and Dean Suniha Come sheer Colig Show Ig Machnog Shalom Feni Ig Ein of Musmoimta Ig Eish of Agildo Lebi Gone and On. By the valley of Kemeny in Ivlera I live, where the deer come at night for its rest. Thinking of my life, composing my thoughts, listening to the wind blowing through the trees and the sweet singing of the birds. A friendship that has led to this beautiful collection here this evening. Carmel has always been a champion of Ambrose's wonderful art, and one of the task she set me to a few years ago was to find a permanent home for them, and we had a very glad gift last year to the Marymount Hospice, and there was yet more to come, and I had done a lot of pats trying to find people that would support this gift, and with only a very simple letter to this hospital was given a very, very gracious response, and it was the whole journey to getting the collection here this evening was made so much easier for us. It was a pleasure to have met Edel Nolan, and she's the arts coordinator here. And I've always had a fondness about visiting this hospital because of the beautiful art collection that graces the older part of the hospital. And it is, as one of the doctors here this evening said, it is a great healing for people that have a chance to see them and be with that art. And recently when I saw the new wing, I thought, well, there are photographs there at the moment, and I hope that there could be paintings instead of photographs. And this is honestly happening now. Another Inchigeelagh man who was a young teenager flying around in Inchigeelagh was Des O'Sullivan. And you see, we meet again in another guise in another place, but he's the Arts Committee. And would you like to say something for us?
Okay, thanks. I would just like to say first, thank you very much to the Franciscan community in Ireland and to Brother Ambrose. This is a remarkable gift for this hospital, and it's a wonderful collection, as you can all see. It's a hugely generous act, and I think looking at these paintings, I do not know Brother Ambrose, but I feel I kind of know him slightly about this because there's a gentleness in them and there's a spirituality there. I was particularly taken by one on the far left corner from where I'm standing of rooftops in Spain, which reminds me very much of the kind of views that Picasso sat down and looked at about 110 years ago through half-closed eyes, and as a result of that, Cubism was born because he saw the squares and he saw them, sort of the shapes melting into one another, and an entire art movement that led to a glorious century of art in the 20th century, all started from a very similar type of view to what Brother Ambrose has captured over there. I think they're wonderful for the hospital because they are tranquil and attractive. I don't think art necessarily has to be these things all the time, but I do think this is a great collection, and we certainly on the CUH Arts Committee are very, very grateful, as is the hospital, I'm sure, for having received this most generous gift. And I would like to thank very much Sister Carmel and Adele Nolan, who really worked very hard, and a lot of people put a lot of voluntary time and effort into getting this collection in place, and I think it's a wonderful exhibition, and it's going to continue here until the 7th of December, and after that it goes to, it will be dispersed around the hospital, and it will, I think, will do a lot of good for a lot of people, and that is a really very good thing. Also, Sister Carmel's poems are on the wall adjacent to the paintings, and they are also gentle, I think, and spiritual. I haven't studied them enough, but I think that they are a tremendous asset to have with the paintings. And also, I know that Sister Carmel and Brother Ambrose collaborated on some works and poetry, and probably inspired each other and drew inspiration from the landscape around Inchigeela, as Joe was saying, but also from the landscape of Connemara, from city scenes, from streetscapes, from Provence, and various locations. And Brother Ambrose has brought all of them here to us and to the people who are in this hospital. And we have to be really very, very grateful to him for that. I would just like to say one thing about the CUH Art Committee, which is a hard-working committee. We meet as often as we can, and it is entirely staffed by voluntary people who put in time and effort to try and get a collection going for this hospital. They work hard at it, and it doesn't draw on any. We all know the state that the nation is in, and that the public funding is always in crisis, and it seems to be getting worse every week. But at the same time, doesn't draw on any public funding. This is an entirely voluntary thing, and I would like to say thank you very much to everybody who serves on the committee. And it's just that we do our best, and certainly a gift like this is a great help to us. And if any of you know any other brilliant artists who want to give us a gift, we would be very grateful as well. So with that, I would like to pass on. I'll go back to George. Thank you.
Burr Baker, the business manager of the hospital. Well, we met already. We had a very interesting chat.
Burr is refusing to speak, so I'll speak on her behalf. I'm Ken Walsh, one of the consultants in the hospital. I'm also a member of the management team and an absentee member of the arts committee. But, for as many years, myself and Adele and the arts committee have been very interested in the therapeutic qualities of art and the healing properties of art and gardens in the hospital. We've a lot of work has been done mainly by Adele to enhance the hospital that way. And looking at this collection here, it's a perfect addition to the hospital. It's just perfect for a hospital setting for both the staff and the patients. It's just the type of art that is needed. So it is a fantastic addition, and I'd like to thank everyone who was involved. I was not involved in any way myself. I didn't do any work for this, but I know lots of people did lots of hard work. And on behalf of the hospital, the management team of the hospital, I'd like to thank you all. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Father Eugene of the Franciscan Friday is here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege, and it falls to me to be the one to make a gift of this extraordinary collection on behalf of Brother Ambrose himself and on behalf of the Franciscans in Ireland. We are thrilled that these paintings are coming to this venue for one single reason. They belong here because Ambrose was a Cork man, born in North Main Street, reared in Turner's Cross, and it's right and fitting that his work as an artist is shown in his own home city. So we are deeply grateful to the hospital for accepting this gift and providing Ambrose with a forum to show his work. So on behalf of the Franciscans of Broad Lane and Liberty Street, and on behalf of Father Hugh McKenna, our provincial in Ireland, we wish you all very well, and all the patients of this hospital well, as they look and contemplate on these lovely works of art. We are deeply grateful to Carmel and to Edel for this holy alliance that they have formed together to put on something like this for us, and to have a home so that the whole city can enjoy these lovely works of art. So to Edel and Carmel, we say thank you to both of you. Thank you.
Bulbul here, who promoted art in the hospitals. And would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. My name is Abdul Bulbul. I'm from Waterford, and I was a GP, but now retired. I've always been interested in art for many, many years, and this whole movement of art in hospital started about 25 years ago in Waterford. And I remember that it was Tony McNamara, the CED manager of the hospital, and he was in Waterford at the time. And it took me 6 months to persuade Tony that he should have a piece of art in the hospital. In Waterford at that time, they just built the modern, beautiful new hospital, but the foyer was like a railway station. People were just going up and down, and there was no focal point. And I felt that it needed a focal point. And fortunately, after 6 months, Tony sort of agreed. And the first question he asked me, who's going to pay for it? And at that time, I was doing a fair bit of occupational medicine, and there were a number of pharmaceutical companies in Waterford who I approached them, and they said, fine, we will fund it. And we ran a competition, but the most important thing is I went to the Arts Council, and I approached the Arts Council and told them that, look, at any given time, there are about 5,000 people in Waterford Hospital. 90% of them would never go to an art gallery or to a concert. And it is sort of bringing art to the community. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the healing qualities of art in a hospital setting. So the Arts Council agreed. And from 25 years ago until today, every year, our core funding for the hospital, art in the trust, comes from the Arts Council. And so we've been very, very fortunate that we have that advantage. We have an arts center where we have a studio for artists, and we have musicians, we have poets in this arts center attached to the hospital. And I must say that at some stage, Idel worked with us there in the hospital, and she, I'm so pleased to see that she has done so much wonderful work here in Cork, and I wish Idel continued success on that. Brother Ambrose artwork, I am familiar with his work. I knew Brother Ambrose in Cork. I've seen a lot of his works in different settings. In the bank, in AID Bank in Waterford, the different boardrooms, a lot of families had worked by Brother Ambrose. And I was always a great admirer of his works. And to see this wonderful large collection here, it's so inspiring. And I think that the works here are very, very appropriate for a hospital setting. One would describe the work as a wonderful colorist, because every piece that you look around you, would be very uplifting. Basically, he's recognized as a landscape painter, but from now and again you see his very special pieces would be, my favorite would be that snowscape, the Impressionist painting of the first one on the left. And I feel that, that particular painting, really moves me very, very much. The other painting that, only one of the ones that he's done of an interior one is the one with the sewing machine. Again, that particular painting, I think he was experimenting very much with that, because you see it's very different from any of the other artworks. So that particular painting is, again, I would regard very special. Another thing that one could see and note is the paintings that he did in the south of France. And you can see, like the one in front of me straight there, the French, the light there, and you can see it's very different from the Irish landscapes, because you can see the wonderful warmth of the light that you have had. So from that point of view, I mean, there's so much to see here, and to have an artist's work all together here. And I hope people will come back again and again and again to enjoy and appreciate the work, because I think it does need to be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Father Donald Linehan.
Dear friends, Ambrose I'm honoured that he is a friend of mine, and I admire and benefit so much from his work. A very good friend of his, was her sister Judy Deneen. I asked her, what was one thing you'd say about Ambrose now? And she said, he loved painting. And you might go out with him for a cup of coffee or something, and if you saw a bowl of flowers sideways or something like that, he'd take out a piece of paper. It could be a napkin or it could be a beer mat or anything, and he start sketching it. And he was just intensely involved and could work on the same image maybe for days then in order to perfect it. And you could see, I could see that anyway in the Singer sewing machine there, and the Connolly station, and the shed for demolitions down there somewhere. And especially I thought down there, this boat in Galway, and very kind of carefully drawn as a boat. And then a caption along the boat, the Tree of Life. So a very practical boat, and then fifes in it, the fruit and porters. So here you have the Tree of Life, bananas, and the Tree of Life, which takes us beyond the immediate things. Ambrose, I suppose, painted out of joy, and he painted out of light. And that's what I love about his work. And the sense of place, He has been in Provence, and I don't know where else you see around there. But of course, the special place was the Shaky Bridge. Yes. The Shaky Bridge was it. And I remember him telling, was it here? Oh yeah, oh it's here now, yeah. No, I remember him telling me this story. He was doing one of his several walks on the Shaky Bridge, in the Mardyke and Sunday as well. And he was walking away, and this boy came along, just passing by, and he said, "Sir, the lines aren't straight at all." And he said, "But it's the Shaky Bridge." And Ambrose was delighted because he attracted people around him when he was walking. He drew people to him. And it was the quote that comes back to me, is coming from the Bible there. See this city, and see that Shaky Bridge, see that boat up in Galway. This is where God lives among people. This is where God is active among people and within people. And that's the underlying power, I think, I find in Ambrose's work. Now, I also know that Ambrose was part of a master class with Kenneth Webb in Connemara, And that's where he got into the water lilies business, and he has several on that. And what I like about it there, I suppose, is Ambrose impressionistic style more and more into it, actually, inviting the viewer into the experience rather than labeling the experience with some enforced meaning that was there from the beginning. Inviting you and me and all of us into the experience. That's enormously powerful. And just finally, the point I'd like to make, Ambrose saw himself as a brother of St. Francis. And I know that the fact of being a brother rather than a priest increasingly appealed to him. Because he wasn't into status, he was much closer to vulnerability. And the gentleness of him, you know, and blessed are the gentle, they shall inherit the land. And that's what Ambrose is doing tonight, I think, inheriting the love and the interest and the healing for all of us here. So again, a friend of his told me that towards the end of his life, he said he'd like to pray more and paint more. I mean, in recent years now, when he was doing less work. And for him, it was the same thing. He was using his gifts, his inspiration, his invitation to us. That was his prayer, that we could share in the wonder of life as he saw it and experienced it. So I'm very pleased to be here, and thanks for inviting me, John.
I'd like to call on Father Ian, a colleague of Brother Ambrose. And I think there's a poem in one of the paintings that we're going to make with it. Oh, I hold I would say thanks to the girls. They're actually leading us to go to a music lesson, but it was a miracle that all these wonderful musicians arrived out of nowhere.
Well done.
And
well done, ladies. And
one
that's
little
well done.
comment I want to make: the art collection is a marriage. It is Ambrose's life and it's his spirituality. But it has come to a home where there are children being born, there are families losing their maybe a member of their family, and not too long ago, my family were very much in the intensive care unit here, and maybe tomorrow or the following day I might have a grandniece or grandnephew being born in the hospital here as well. And the atmosphere and the wonderful professionalism of the staff, I think in a way is yet another tribute why they should be here, why they should be in this environment, because surely here is where we have God as well among us.
Well done.
Thanks. Well done.
Thanks, guys, well done.
Good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to be here to celebrate for Ambrose and for Sister Carmen as well on this great occasion in CUH. And I've been asked, Carmen was prodding me over the last 2 weeks to come along to share something. And in view of what several of the speakers were talking about earlier, the poem I picked from one of my own collections is called Cerebral, and it makes a mention in it of Picasso, and of course Picasso had a big influence in the painting of Ambrose. So here am I, a poet, I paint with words, as I say in the poem. And this is an introduction to just one other poem that I'll read, which is, as you can see, Joe is holding it up there, and it's from a landscape south of Clifton. And you will know, those of you who know the painting of Ambrose, you will know that it's from his earlier work, before maybe he was influenced by, I suppose, what we call neo-impressionism. So here's my own first poem, Cerebral. You paint with words, he said to me, and I tried to picture what he meant. I thought of words as quite inadequate, arid, too clever for their own good. Is it possible that we bend what we behold to our own mood or slant? Then I heard someone on the radio quote Picasso. If we could pull out our brains and use only our eyes, then how wonderful the world around us would appear. And here's the poem now for the painting. Landscape South of Clifton, painting by Brother Ambrose O'Mahony, OFM. And I was quoting this poem earlier today. I was rehearsing with somebody, and after I said the OFM, I said, as an aside, out for money. She tells me to hang it on the wall at the end of the bed, so that you can see it first thing when you wake in the mornings. I prefer to come on it sideways, the way you did first time, and a little later on in the day, when I can look back at it and wonder. The hills lie low under a cloudy, creamy sky, and muted shades of green and yellow and blue, never absorbed by me before, appeared to dominate. This is all about atmosphere, and stress that there are places on this earth that will not and cannot be changed, no matter what may happen elsewhere. What you have painted remains behind, to be seen in different ways, admired at random by other eyes. What you took away is now alive on canvas and gratefully mine. An enormous cube of rock stands out, at variance with everything thus far admired. You know, forever and a day, I could sit on that, to be perpetually beguiled.